Hey everybody, it's Goblin and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another Ravnica Mixer Premier Draft. This is the format with one pack of each of the three most recent Ravnica sets. So Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, and top it all off with a War of the Spark at the end. With that out of the way, let's open up this pack, see what we've got here. So we have Inescapable Blaze in the uncommons. This is pretty exceptional. 6 mana for an instant that can't be countered to deal 6 damage to any target, so it can kill basically anything you need it to, including your opponent if they're low enough on life. So Inescapable Blaze, pretty great red card there. Status and Statue, another good piece of removal, this one being a 4 mana removal spell to destroy an artifact, creature, or enchantment at instant speed. So definitely cheaper, a little more efficient that way, but Inescapable Blaze hits more stuff, a little more versatile. Just being able to kill your opponent with it mainly. Deadweight is really efficient removal, but doesn't kill much. I'm going to take Inescapable Blaze here. I think that card seems pretty good to me. Ooh, Disinformation Campaign here. 3 mana to draw a card and have your opponent discard a card isn't the worst deal ever. You only really need to surveil once or twice for this card to be great. This card's absolutely phenomenal in Guilds of Ravnica draft, however, it will get a lot weaker in the Mixer draft, which is probably why I wasn't pick one, pack one here, as we'll only get Surveil cards in the first pack. So if we take Disinformation Campaign, we have to take every Surveil card that we see to get the most value off of it, but if this goes off, this card is exceptional. Other than that, District Guide would be quite a powerful pickup for this format. In the Mixer drafts of Ravnica, you're going to have a ton of very multicolored decks, pretty much 3 colors being the average. Sometimes you can play 5 colors, sometimes you can play just 2, but usually settling around at the 3 color range, and District Guide helps with that a lot, grabbing whatever basic land or guild gate that you need, such as the Izzet guild gate here. So District Guide seems the best for Mixer draft specifically. If this were Guilds of Ravnica, I would hop on the Disinformation Campaign train immediately, but we gotta be pretty lucky for Disinformation Campaign to really go off in the rest of these packs. Of course, it would go off here. We do have Watcher in the Mist, a great follow-up to that, even Whisper Agent being a fine follow-up, but yeah, Watcher in the Mist, one of the best cards in this whole pack. 5 mana for a 3/4 flyer, and you surveil 2 when it enters the battlefield, so quite a powerful card here. I think that's probably what I'm just going to take here, even though we didn't pick up the Disinformation Campaign. Sure, it would be exceptional if we had Disinformation Campaign in here, but I think it still lies as the strongest card in the pack. And generally, there's a lot of mana fixing in these formats. There's a guild gate in every pack of Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiance, and there are, of course, other ways to mana fix. They wanted to make sure you have plenty of that. So with the District Guide already, we could definitely go for green, blue, red potentially as our 3 colors here. But it is still early enough in the draft. We can kind of just take the most powerful card and see where we go from there. We do have an Izzet Locket here for blue-red mana fixing. Rosemade Centaur is one of the better commons here. Just a pretty good rate for quite a solid, sturdy creature. Not a fan of these uncommons in this format. Thoughtbound Phantasm, worse than Disinformation Campaign, because this card really doesn't do much unless you trigger the Surveil effect. So, yeah, definitely filler creatures, the best creature being Centaur, or some good mana fixing here being the most ideal cards, I think. I'm going to go ahead and roll with an Izzet Locket, I think, for helping out with the blue and red stuff here. We also do have some expensive stuff already. A 5 mana and a 6 mana card already, just 3 picks in. So the mana ramp from Izzet Locket could be helpful as well. Alright, and we could pick up a Steam Vents here for just more blue-red mana fixing, just help with the mana base. We could also take a Siege Worm. That's going to be a great finisher. Ramping into it to get it out early is not that hard to do when it has a Convoke effect, so your creatures can help ramp into it. So Siege Worm's pretty solid. We do have Generous Stray as well. This is at its best in Golgari, but pretty solid in any deck. Just a 1/2 that draws a card when you play it, so it replaces itself, so it gives you basically the free chump block as well as a card to draw. Yeah, Siege Worm, Generous Stray, Steam Vents are my favorites here. Steam Vents would also give us some gems. I'm going to go ahead and take the mana fixing here. Just the great dual land there. pick 6 now. We could take a Devious Cover-Up for a more controlling blue-red deck here. Inescapable Blaze is also instant speed, so we have other stuff to do other than counters at instant speed, which makes them better. The more options you have to cast during your opponent's turn, the better your counter spells will get. The worst possible time to have a counterspell is when it's the only instant in your hand, because then if your opponent doesn't do anything, you're not doing anything with your turn. If you have other things to do at instant speed, like crack a locket to draw a couple cards, or cast an Inescapable Blaze to kill one of their creatures, it makes holding up counterspells like Devious Cover-Up a lot easier to do. So I think we're looking pretty good so far on the possibility of playing counterspells, and scoop an Izzet Guildgate in here as well. Piston Fist Cyclops is a powerful card for a more aggressive Izzet deck, but all of our blue and red cards are pretty expensive here, definitely not particularly aggressive, especially with the instant speed cards. Those aren't the greatest with the Cyclops, because you really want to be casting a spell during your turn to make it able to attack. So actually not the biggest fan of the Cyclops here. It is a 4/3 for 3, even if you don't get to attack with it, so it can just trade off with some stuff. Pretty decent at that level, but I do really like picking up a lot of mana fixing and making sure that our mana bases are just phenomenal in this format. So we do have a Notion Rain here, powerful draw spell in Dimir, or we could just take that Dimir Guildgate if we want to be splashing in some black, say in the second pack if we want to pick up some Rakdos cards, some of the red-black guild. Those are really the best 2 cards, I would say. Gorgon's alright, Righteous Blow is alright, but these 2 are spicy. You know, I think Notion Rain's a powerful enough draw spell. I'm going to scoop it up there. See what we have. Pick 9. Hypothesizzle. Pretty easy pick, right? 5 mana to draw 2 cards at instant speed. And then if we discard a non-land card, we get to deal 4 damage to a creature as well. Pretty great instant speed removal spell there. Yeah, don't mind if I do. Looking to be building a pretty good controlling deck here. Either blue-red-green or blue-red-black, but definitely blue-red so far. Nothing here excites me that much. We've got some filler cards here for sure, most of which don't really go with what we're trying to do. Guess I'll just take a filler creature if we do end up in green. And Radical Idea seems fine to me. 2 mana to draw a card, and you can do it again by discarding a card from your hand later in the game. You will exile it the second time you do it, but pretty solid there. We could also take Fresh Faced Recruit, 2 mana for a 2/1 first strike during our turn. We can do that in just red, don't have to be white. We don't have anything to play early on yet, but I think Radical Idea is looking more like our cup of tea in this more controlling deck. Ooh, Generous Stray, nice and late. Even Portcullis fine. Both of these are solid. They get a chump block in there and replace themselves just to draw a card when you're done with them. I'm going to go with Generous Stray over the Vine. Simply because we don't have to hold up like mana at a later time or anything like that. Just get the immediate card draw when casting it. So now, what do we have here? We've got a Gruul Guildgate, we've got a Rampage of the Clans, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller gets a 3/3. Not really a limited card. That's for a deck trying to make a ton of treasure tokens and then make a giant board of 3/3s. Not something you can really do in this format. We have Blade Juggler if we do go Grixis, if we go blue, red, black. That is an excellent card, even for 5 mana. 5 mana for a 3/2 that draws a card is good. 3 mana for a 3/2 that draws a card is excellent if you can get that spectacle cost. So Blade Juggler is pretty solid. Bullrat Clan Crusher, pretty good if we go the green route. We have more green than black so far, so it's more likely here. We do need some stuff to put some +1/+1 counters on our cards, but if we do get some of that, we can start using this to chip away at our opponent's board or their life total. So I do like Clan Crusher too. Growth Spiral is another instant to play around with. I'm going to go with the Gruul Guildgate. I think we're committed enough to green at this point. With 2 green cards I'm pretty happy with. That just picking up some more green mana fixing will be nice here, especially because if we go blue, red, green, we get 2 guilds of cards in this pack. We get Simic cards, the blue-green cards like Aramunculus, and Gruul cards, the red-green cards like Savage Smash. So by going blue-green, We just have like twice as many potential gold powerful cards in this pack too. So I'm going to go Homunculus this pack, I think. Savage Smash is good too, but we're not going to have a particularly high creature count to use our creatures as removal spells. We only have 4 so far, so let's get some more creatures before we start taking fight spells like that, and Homunculus is a great creature. 3 mana for a 2/3 flyer, and you can adapt it for 4 to make it a 3/4 flyer later. Pretty excellent. Fairy Duelist is quite good too if that wheels. We are going to want some cheap creatures here. We still have nothing at 2 mana or cheaper going on. So another Gruul Gate seems great to me. The Simic Locket would be fine. Rebel Slinger would be fine. Biogenic Upgrade is a big finisher. Not really for what we're doing. We want a lot of creatures, particularly ones with +1/+1 counters, for that to be at its best. Clan Guildmage also for a very aggressive deck. You know, we're not going to get too much value off of just shutting off a blocker each turn. So, yeah, I'm just into taking another Guild Gate, taking mana fixing very highly here, and for that reason, I'm cool with a Simic Guild Gate here. It's that or a 6 mana 6/6. The Enter the Battlefield effect is not particularly likely to do much here. It will shut off some blockers if you have +1/+1 counters on your creatures, but I currently have 1 card that gets +1/+1 counters, just an Homunculus. Alright, another Simic Guildgate. Just keep scooping them up, slamming them in, or get our first 2 mana creature, which we are really missing out on. We have a lot of great mana here already. Probably end up cutting this Izzet Locket. Let's make sure we get our 2 drops. Get a 2 mana 2/2 in here. It's got some extra text if we cast some bigger creatures later, but mainly a filler 2 mana 2/2 creature to make sure we're putting something on the board in the early game to not get aggroed out by our opponents. Alright, Zertaw Goblin, a 2 mana 3/3, quite a good deal for the mana cost. It is a little difficult to cast, but our mana base is looking pretty great already. We'll probably pick up another dual land or 2. Now we have a big old Homunculus 2/5 hexproof or a Growth Spiral draw card, put a land on the board. That is instant speed as well. Homunculus really blocks the board state. And I've played against some players in our first draft with our Golgari deck that were just running a deck of just nothing but removal, so Homunculus would be good in that situation. Growth Spiral's neat, but I'm gonna go with Homunculus here. Could be incorrect, but I just think it's the kind of card that would play well against the sorts of decks I've been playing against in the first draft I did here. And this pack's a pretty easy Wrecking Beast, just a giant game ender to go alongside our Inescapable Blaze. And we are seeing some Growth Spirals late, could pick that up now. We could also go for a Skitter Eel. I am low on creatures, and Adapt is an instant speed effect, so it's another effect that helps us hold up our instant speed removal or counters and still have a backup plan if we don't end up needing to cast them. So yeah, I do like Adapt with what our deck is doing, so a Skitter Eel seems solid to me. And another nice little filler Territorial Boar. Now we have 3 2-mana creatures. It's looking like a pretty fun teamer deck here, and we're getting enough creatures now. Biogenic Upgrade could actually be a finisher. We have 11 creatures now. We're starting to get that creature count up to your standard 17 by the end of the draft. So slam a Biogenic Upgrade in here. We don't need a Simic Locket with our mana base of lands that we have here. Well, Axebane Beast it is, just a filler creature. And a couple Scuttle Gators, which we probably won't end up playing, but we could. Alright, so the final pack here. We have some powerful options. We have Commence the Endgame, 6 mana, instant speed, can't be countered, draw 2, then create an XX where X is the number of cards in your hand. So super good. Kiora Behemoth Beckoner is also great. Whenever we're playing creatures with power 4 or greater, we're drawing cards, and this can ramp into them. Challenger Troll is just a 6/5 for only 5 mana, and all of your creatures can't be blocked. All of your big creatures can't be blocked by more than one creature. Even No Escape is great. Lazatep plating is solid to counter a piece of removal. This pack is excellent, and I want all of these cards, but if I had to pick out of all of this stuff, I actually feel like I'm more missing out on a Kiora type card than the rare there. As cool as the rare is, we have a lot at 6, 7 mana already. We have a 6, actually we have 4 6 mana cards and a 7 mana card, so we have big top end game ending stuff. We don't have a ton of ramp and we don't have a ton of card draw, and Kiora's both, so that's very exciting for that reason. And a second Kiora here really paid off. Now we can really draft around her from this point on with double Kiora in the deck. All right. Well, that being said, nothing really to go with Kiora here. We've got a good cheap removal spell, Jaya's Greeting. We have Augur of Bolas, but we don't have enough instants or sorceries for that to be great. Or we have Callous Dismissal. So permanently kill a small creature and then scry 1, or temporarily bounce any creature and get a 1/1. I like both of these a lot. Our mana is good enough to support either. I think because instant speed, and I do have a lot of instant fun stuff, I'm going to go with Jaya's Greeting here over Callous Dismissal. Alright. Now what do we have? Turret Ogre is a 4-power creature that helps trigger our Kayas. There's also Dreadhorde Twins, 4 mana for 2 2/2s, one of which has Trample. I think this is the better deal in general, but with double Kiora, I'm really looking for more 4-power creatures here, so I'm going to take Turret Ogre over the Dreadhorde Twins here. It's definitely a significantly weaker card, but we're really going for that power 4 or greater theme now that we have 2 Kioras. Alright, and a 5 mana 4/5 is perfect. A cheaper creature we can get out here to trigger a Kiora, draw a card off of it. At least cheaper than like our 6 mana stuff, like our Scuttle Gators or this 7/6 Primordial Worm we could pick up. So Thundering Ceratok, pretty exciting to me for this deck. Now we have a counterspell, Crush Descent, or a Death Touching Crawl Stinger. Both are pretty solid in here. I think I'm going to go for the Crawl Stinger here. If Crush Descent was an unconditional counterspell, I'd go for it, but if we draw this late game, our opponent can just pay the extra mana and still resolve their spell, so I'm not that interested. Ooh, Bioessence Hydra is a fantastic spell after you have a Kiora on the board. This is 5 mana for a 4/4 trample. It enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each loyalty counter on planeswalkers you control. So let me tell you how big this is if you play Kiora turn 3 and then Bioessence Hydra turn 4. Play Kiora, -1. Kiora now has 6 loyalty. Because you you've untapped a land, so on turn 4 you'll have 5 mana to cast the Hydra. You're playing this 4/4 with a 6 loyalty planeswalker out, so you're playing a 10/10 trample on turn 4. So double Kiora into Bioessence Hydra, actually just an absurd combo to have at the ready here. And here I'll definitely take a Crunch Regular. It goes really well with our deck theme of power 4 or greater creatures. And we have a counterspell, No Escape here. Our deck is really kind of transforming a lot in the last pack to where our instants are getting worse because of the number of creatures we're putting in the deck now. Like power 4 greater creatures we just want to tap out to, but I think I'll still grab No Escape. Just having ways to stop like powerful planeswalkers is so important when there's a pack of War of the Spark in this draft format. I will take a Ward Scale Crocodile now, though. And then I suppose New Horizons, probably will end up cutting that. Definitely not playing any of those. Maybe playing Primordial Worm. I'd play it over a Scuttle Gator. Card is just slower. Okay. Make a few adjustments to this deck, but it's looking pretty sweet here. Just Teamer monsters. Green, blue, and red monsters coming in here. We could even throw Locket back in. And just have a really high count of just expensive spells in this deck. Alright, so we do have 20 creatures, kind of a lot of creatures here. I'm definitely cutting like Humongulous here. Just our expensive creatures that don't trigger Kioras. We could cut Watcher in the Mist, but it's still just such a good card in general. Could cut Skitter Eel and Axebane Beast because they don't trigger Kiora. but Wild Ceratok and Turret Ogre do. I'll cut Axebane Beast, but leave Skitter Eel in for now. New Horizons helps cast an early Primordial Worm or Wrecking Beast or anything like that, and if we have a New Horizons with a Kiora, we can go absolutely crazy with our mana. We can tap whatever land we put New Horizons on for 2 mana, and then untap it and get 2 more with Kiora, so New Horizons plus Kiora combo seems pretty insane. I think, yeah, we're going for a very transformative draft here where we started as like blue-red control with a lot of instant speed trickery, and now we're kind of just the tap-out ramp deck, just always spending all of our mana into a big old creature. So I think I'm cutting No Escape, Devious Cover-Up, no. Put Hypothesis back in. We still want removal, but I don't think we want counter spells. Probably cut Izzet Locket because New Horizons is better, and we also have 2 Kioras that are also ramp. And then our creatures are already massive. We don't need a biogenic upgrade to finish someone off, so we'll take that out of here. This is an 18 creature deck here. Cut 1 Radical Idea, and then cut 1 creature and call it a day. 1 more creature, I should say. District Guide looking super sweet here. We could pick up a Simic, Gruul, or Izzet Guildgate. We got one of each at least at our disposal, so District Guide looking awesome for mana fixing. I don't want to go too slow to where I cut like a Territorial Boar and only have 3 2-mana creatures. Especially with New Horizons, because a 2-mana creature turn 2, 3-mana New Horizons turn 3, so you actually get some value out of the +1/+1 counter is pretty big. So I don't think I want to cut a 2-drop creature. Maybe we could cut the Crawl Stinger at 3, because we're often going to tap out for a Kiora or New Horizons if we have one in hand. And we don't exactly need a Death Toucher if we just have bigger creatures than our opponents. You know, our plan for killing an opposing 4/4 or 5/5 is to just play a 6/6 or 7/7. Yeah, I'll maybe get rid of Crawl Stinger here. And then this would be the deck. Watcher in the Mist, I don't know. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense with our archetype and our general synergies in the deck, but it's just such an individually powerful card that I think I'm still saving it in here. The 4-drops, they're all in here because for like curve considerations, even though Skitter Eel doesn't combo perfectly, it's pretty good for the curve. But yeah, once you get to the 5s and 6, like we've got a bundle of these. We could cut one of these, and the one that would make the most sense would be like Watcher in the Mist, maybe even Scuttlegator. But I don't really want to cut more 4-power stuff with the double Cure at our disposal. You know, I suppose Kiora and New Horizons, all 3 of these cards jump us from 3 mana turn 3 to 5 mana turn 4 if we play a basic land on turn 4. Like if we don't miss our land drop. So 4-drops are actually a little less important on our curve than other mana costs, so we could still cut the Eel and then throw the Crawl card back in. Or just put something else in general. There are multiple ways we could build this deck with just the amount of cards we have between blue, red, and green and how good our mana base is. You know what? This will be a little weird. I'm going to cut Skitter Eel and actually just put in more mana ramp. Just put the Izzet Locket right back into the deck. I mean, that's mana ramp that doubles his card draw late game. If we flood out, then just pop the Locket, draw 2 cards. So, card seems pretty exciting to me, and now we can much more consistently make the jump from 3 mana to 5 mana, so now 4-drops are even less important, which makes cutting the Skitter Eel feel a little better too, because now we have 4 cards that now make that jump from 3 mana on turn 3 to 5 mana turn 4. So yeah, I think this is the deck I'm going to run here. Really fun looking deck here, just a bunch of big beefy creatures, a lot of card draw from Cure, a good amount of ramp. Teamer ramp it is. And a couple Curas. What are we going to call this? This is the deck here. It's pretty squiddy. We'll go with some Calamari with the double Cura. Alright, and here we are in round 1. We don't have any blue mana yet, but District Guide solves that problem handedly. Don't have a lot going on early game. If our opponent's aggressive, we could get beat down pretty severely, but if not, if this game goes long, we've got some beef coming out later, and we immediately draw the Simic Guildgate, so now we have all the mana we need just from the start. So Sora Form Hybrid from our opponent, turn 2, excellent 2-mana creature. We played multiple of those in the last draft to great effect. Just a phenomenally powerful card. Aven Eternal as well. Fantastic common here. 2/2 flyer and a 1/1 on the ground for 3 mana. So I'm going to cast District Guide over Generous Stray here. Grab another blue source, I think. We have double red, way more than enough greens. Let's grab a blue-red source. But we're playing the 2/2 over the 1/2, so they can't attack us with the Sora Form Hybrid anymore, just trying to stop some damage here. Oof. And they take the turn off to cast a Siege Worm. Turn 4, get that 5/5 Trampler out there. That is where the Convoke on Siege Worm really shows off here. That's gonna be brutal. Just a very quick start from our opponent. It's gonna take a lot to come back from this one, but we're gonna do our best here. Alright, so the District Guide does hold off the Sora Form Hybrid, but we're still taking 7 from the evasive creatures, the Flyer and the Trampler. Pitiless Gorgon is out now, a 2/2 Death Toucher. That'll be annoying once we start playing big creatures, but for now it doesn't do much. We can cast 2 small creatures here, but we don't have their 6 mana yet for our creatures big enough to block the Siege Worm. So, double up on some more ground troops. Yeah, this is looking pretty nasty for us. We can kill the Siege Worm here, but we are going to take 8 damage. We take 6 damage from the Hybrid and 2 from the Aven Eternal. Could make a chump block on the Hybrid here. If we don't, we're going to 3 life, so I kind of feel like I'd take the chump block on the Hybrid. Going to 3 life against 2 flying damage, plus a wide board with everything having at least 1 power. Just seems way too likely we immediately die there, so stay at a higher life total and get a chump block in there. And now, all we have to worry about is the 6/6, so we'll play our own 6/6 Defender here, I think, to trade with that. That's not all we have to worry about. We are going to take some chip damage here from the 2/2 Flyer. But hopefully we'll find a way to deal with that. If we don't find a way to deal with the Flyer, obviously that will finish us off. So we're taking 4 damage this turn. We can't block the Death Toucher or the Flyer well, but we can block their 6/6 and their 1/1. So we go to 5 life here if they don't have more interaction. If they do, then we really get slammed here. Alright, take that onboard trade here. Down to 5. And an Ugin's Conjurant, a 6/6 out here. Just more to put on this board. We can only block 2 creatures. We're not quite dead. We could cast a 4/5 and a 2/2 instead of just a 7/6. If damage would be dealt to it, prevent it, remove that many counters. So chump blocking does whittle down the Conjurant to make it weak enough to kill later. Yes, let's just double up, cast 2 creatures this turn then instead of 1 7/6. Because we don't need to just immediately kill the Conjurant, we can just whittle it down. And getting a 2/2 on the board is very good against their 2/2 Death Toucher. If we whittle that down by 2, it is small enough that the 4/5 just kills it. However, then we won't have something to deal with the Death Toucher anymore. Playing a 7/6 next turn. Playing a 7/6 next turn. We could even just block like this, and then the 7/6 is free to block it in the future. Yeah, I think I like that. We have to block it or we die, so block it somewhere. And I think there's a good reason to keep the 2/2, a good reason to keep the 4/5. Spellgorger weird, or Spellkeeper weird. Can bring an instant or sorcery from their graveyard back to their hand if they sacrifice it, but they don't have any to do so. And Watcher in the Mist is the top deck here. That is a flyer to block their Aven Eternal. The weird card that like doesn't make the most sense in this deck, but is just a good card, might come in to save us here. So the only instant in their grave is a Growth Spiral. So I'm not particularly worried about them bringing something back with the Spellkeeper weird. What I am worried about is that we are actually still dead on board because we only have 3 blockers here. So maybe our opponent will not realize that. I guess we go to 1 life. We're not dead on board. Yeah, no, I did the math wrong. We're not quite dead. We go to 1 life if they attack with everybody. And we have good blocks, so... Not great blocks. We have okay blocks. So it's a big decision for them between whether or not they want to attack. They will start clearing some of my board off. Alright, if they're sacrificing Spellkeeper weird, I'm guessing that's a no. They're just going to cash it in, get the card draw from the Growth Spiral, and they do hit another land from that. So Ugin's Conjurant potentially coming in. They have retracted that statement. Maybe. Maybe not. They will kill one of my creatures, but I will whittle down the Conjurant to be small enough to be insignificant. Or I could just kill it. Yeah, they kill my 4/5. We kill that. Sure. Yep. They kill my 4/5, but I still have the 2/2 to block their 2/2, and I'll have a 7/6 to block their 1/1, 3/4 to block their 2/2 as well. Well, 7/6 or a 7/7? Let's get the 7/7, I say. Still not going to attack well as long as they have the Death Toucher on the board, but Territorial Boar can start getting in there because it does get Vigilance every time we cast a big creature. So maybe the plan here is to just keep chipping in with the Territorial Boar. Any blocks they make are good for us. We either kill their flyer or kill their Death Toucher if they want to trade into the boar. So that little ability to get +1/+1 Vigilance is coming in clutch here. Uh-oh, Zhang Yangu gonna come in real clutch here as well. We'll start putting +1/+1 counters on creatures. Surprised they go for the Death Toucher here? Ooh, I see their idea here. They go for the Death Toucher because that makes it so the Territorial Boar can no longer kill it on a block, and we do have to block to not die. If we block with Wrecking Beast, Zhang Yangu gets to stick around, unless... Yeah, no, we block with Wrecking Beast here. Because we have to block with something. We can't really afford to lose a creature without killing their creature, and by doing this, we get to Primordial Worm this turn. Boar gets Vigilance again, so we are free to attack with Boar. We can attack Zhang Yangu now with the Boar. We either kill Zhang Yangu or their 1/1, and then they just make Aven Eternal a 3/3 flyer. Could attack with both, but that leaves us dead to a top deck removal spell. Because then they just get rid of Primordial Worm and we die. I don't think I attack with both. I think I just send the Boar at the Zhang, and we're killing the 1/1 here most likely. No, we're going to kill Zhang. Alright, I'll take it. Pretty pumped about that. So our opponent has top-decked something here. They are in the think tank. Just checking out our graveyards here as we wait. We do draw into an Aramunculus. Fantastic draw. Get some more defense in the sky. At 3 life here, I think I'm just attacking with Primordial Worm for a while. But having another flyer makes me feel very comfortable here. Just an excellent draw. Still want to play it pretty cautiously here. Our opponent has 2 cards in their hand now. They have 10 mana on the board. We are in top deck mode as we are here. We do have a Callous Dismissal. Go ahead and slow down the Primordial Worm and make their zombie army a 2/2 instead of a 1/1 now. So we will get that worm back out. That will trigger Territorial Boar to get to attack here, but it means they don't have to worry about taking another 7 here. And Kiora is an excellent draw. We can cast Kiora and Primordial Worm. We are going to do that pre-combat so that the Territorial Boar gets the +1/+1, and they waited a long time on us casting Kiora, so they probably have a counterspell for Primordial Worm. Yep, Sinister Sabotage it is, counter the worm. Now we no longer attack well. Kiora can untap anything, not just lands, so we can actually send in the flyers and then untap one of them. Actually does seem pretty spicy. Yeah, even with the 7/6 countered, Kiora is an excellent draw.
I love to make a splash.
They still need 2 removal spells to kill us. If they just kill the flyer, we're still just taking 2. We'll be at 1. They need to kill the flyer and the boar. So I think I am safe to do the double attack and just hold 1 flyer as a blocker. I suppose there are some crazy tricks in the Ravnica formats. I'll have to look up Applied Biomancy here. I think our opponent just conceded. I am not looking at the game right now. Yeah, Applied Biomancy is a 2-mana trick in Ravnica Allegiance. Target creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn and return target creature to its owner's hand. That actually would have killed us, so we could have played around Applied Biomancy there if I had remembered it, if I'd recalled that from Ravnica Allegiance earlier. That would have been an insane draw for our opponent there, but looks like we get there in the end. Super close game. Had to do a lot of work to stabilize, but as you can see, our deck just has a bunch of really massive creatures. So if we can find the time to start casting them, we can start trying to overwhelm our opponent with them as the game progresses. So very lucky there to survive that initial onslaught from our opponent. They had quite the curve going on. So pretty solid game 1 there. Pretty crazy stuff. Alright, this might be just a draw here. Might be some arena hop-ups for a second. Always a possibility. And that is looking to be the case here. Unfortunately, I will probably not have the time to edit together these videos, because I'm going to try to get one out to you all daily. And it is now nearing holiday season. So I'm on that overtime. Just working retail. Ooh. Alright, so the game has worked. No immediate draw here, and super capable hand, Kiora into Turret Ogre. At least draw a card when we cast the Turret Ogre. Super fine with that. Kiora makes sure we have the 4th mana for Turret Ogre, even if we don't draw another land. Having a Locket and New Horizons and Kiora is a bit awkward, but this hand is still quite good regardless. So a Burning Tree Vandal from our opponent. Play that as a 3/2 here. Play our Kiora, probably attack with the boar first. If they want to take a trade, then I'm all for it. Alright, if they don't want to take a trade, well, that's okay too, because we'll just untap our boar. Give it pseudo-vigilance here, hold it up to block that vandal. This allows them to discard a card and draw a card every time it attacks if they want. They are going to Savage Smash here so they can hit us for 5. They could hit Cura for 5 too, but since they're not really going to kill Cura here, I don't think it's that impactful. They do choose to hit Cura for 5, so I'm pretty happy with that. Cura has soaked up 5 damage for us and still remains on the board. So pretty good deal there. We're going to just slam down a Turret Ogre so we make sure we're drawing at least 1 card off of Cura before she exits. So now we have Hypothesis, which is a great way to use our New Horizons since we don't need the mana anymore. I'm fine trading the Turret Ogre down. We don't have another 4-power creature in hand, but we know our deck has a lot, so it's quite likely Cura will draw us another card. Primordial Worm would get us there if Cura had 1 more loyalty, so the damage they dealt to Cura earlier actually is going to matter here quite a bit. So we cannot block Challenger Troll effectively. Yeah, we can play a District Guide to be able to chump block it and then play that land as land for the turn. Alternatively, we can go Is It lock it into District Guide and just hold whatever land we draw for the future. Seems a little better to me. More mana in the long run. And I will grab an untapped land for that reason, just in case we need an untapped land since I've already played land for turn going this way. Grab another green source so we have triple green to play Primordial Worm and New Horizons in the same turn if something weird comes up. Alright, so make the chump block here to keep Cura around to draw another card off Primordial Worm. Basically sacrifice our 2/2 to draw a card here essentially since we're just going to cast Primordial Worm now. Okay, so we have 7 mana. If I spend 3 of it on a New Horizons to put that here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we can't cast New Horizons first, just slam down Primordial Worm. Draw the card off Cura. Get ready to block that Challenger Troll. Ooh, Vigor Spore Worm makes it 7 toughness here. Still not big enough to survive the Primordial Worm, so it will be a trade here. Seems good to me. Hypothesis is enough damage to kill the Vigor Spore Worm, so we're going to go for that now while they're tapped out. Draw 2, discard a non-land card, New Horizons it is. Kill that Vigor Spore Worm. Great stuff. Now we can drop down our Aeromunculus and pass the turn. So we're making a lot of trades that don't look great, where we're trading bigger creatures for smaller stuff of theirs, but the reason was Cura just kept us fueled with all of that card draw to make sure we still had plenty of other plays, so that at this point we are winning this game to card advantage. Our board states are the same, but they have 1 card in hand and 1 direct card engrave, whereas we've got a couple creatures to play around with, draw 2 off Is It lock it. Just a lot of good stuff going for us here. So let's even Watcher in the Mist being an excellent draw. Get rid of these lands. Essentially drew us 2 cards there, drew us out of that flood. Yeah, things are looking really great for us this game. Get the Crunch Wrangler out first, I suppose. Does give them something to direct current. Oh, I guess we can get the whole board out, so it doesn't really matter. Command the Storm, gonna kill our flyer here. Well, we can still hit for 4. Scuttlegator is a good draw, lets us hit for 6 this turn, triggering both of our green creatures with an additional power this turn. They are down to 12 now. They are facing a potential 9/9 Scuttlegator attacking them. Scuttlegator a boatload of mana, but it will be a gigantic 9/9 to finish the game, so I did cut one of them because it is just so much mana and such a slow card, but was enough that game. So 2-0 now for our Teamer Calamari deck. All right, round 3. We got one of the 2 Kyoras in hand. We've got the Kronschwingler and Boar for when we play bigger creatures, and we have 1 bigger creature to play already. Oh my god, I didn't even notice we don't have green mana because I got too excited about how cool the other cards in our hand are. So, you know, sometimes I get a little side blinded there. Had the horse blinders on, but it's all good. We do hit a green source. We have like 8 in the deck or something, so I think it definitely should not have been a keep, but it wasn't super unlikely that we would find an out here to be fine. And we did, so I want to play Kyora here before I have any creatures on board. Not really. I think I want to play just a 3/3 first. And then next turn I can play Kyora, untap a land, and play another 2-mana creature. Shriek Diver, 2/1 flyer. That is going to put some chip damage into Kyora. A little worrisome, but I think I'm okay with that. She's going to have 6 loyalty after we use her here. Yeah, she should be fine for a little while.
Sun in the sky, the ocean surges, life thrives.
So Boar has higher toughness initially, but Wrangler will get a permanent buff instead of a temporary. We are going to cast Scuttlegator next turn, so I think I take the one with the permanent buff. The only thing to consider here is that this will die to smaller spells like Chandra's Pyrohelix that split damage wherever they want, instead of just like a -2/-2 to 1 thing. Rakdos Firewheeler, so it is 2 to something, so that would kill it regardless. And they can hit Kyora for 4 now. They can hit her for 2 if they want instead. But no, they hit the creature and my face. Oh yeah, this is one of the weird cards. It does 2 to us and then 2 to either our creature or Planeswalker. Alright, so they're just going to let us keep Kyora around this game, it looks like. So we do get a Scuttlegator this turn to block everything on the ground. The Shriek Driver is going to be hitting us, but that's 2 a turn and we're at 16. That's pretty fine. Attack with Zertog Goblin, see if we can get the 4/3 off the board. Doing this before we cast the Scuttlegator, because once they know we have a 6/6 defender out, they probably will not be worried about keeping their Firewheeler around. So this way we get a bit of damage in. And draw the card off Kyora here. So Hypothesis will probably what we're going to do to the Shriek Diver. We might have to end up discarding our Territorial Boar. Ideally we won't. We'll see what we draw into next turn if we do cast that. Our opponent is on blue, black, and red, so they should have some excellent black removal spells that can destroy pretty much any creature, so they should have some good removal against our deck. Cards that can kill our 6/6s and 7/7s. We've only gone through 1 Kronschwingler this game. Everything else is still on board. Artful Takedown. Well, there you go. Tap down the Scuttlegator and -2/-4 to the Goblin. That does kill Kyora as well if they attack her with both, and they certainly do. So we are quite away. That is a fantastic voice line. I don't know if I've heard that before. Kyora just going, well, this sucks. That's it. That's the line. Sorry, that was just very amusing to me. Let's see, we're okay here. We can block everything if we just play an Aeromunculus, so we don't really need to kill something with Hypothesizzle, so do we just slam Aeromunculus Boar out? Boar still doesn't really affect the board at all, so we don't have the double green to do that this turn anyway, so we'll just play Aeromunculus and pass. We've got all the blockers we need for now. Our opponent has more cards than us, but hopefully our cards are a little higher quality. Just a little bigger. to make up for that. Hypothesis will help because it'll be drawing us a card. We're gonna draw 2, discard 1 whenever we do it. So only 1 mana away now from activating Scuttlegator. We have 7 on board, we need 8 total. We can activate the Aeromunculus, we could even do that and play Boar in the same turn. Boar again doesn't really affect things, so we could just hold on to it to discard it to Hypothesisal, and I think that's what I'll do here. We do win the race if we just start slapping with Aeromunculus. We're at 16, they're at 14, we're already at a higher life total. Even without buffing the Aeromunculus, we're winning the race currently. So we could just attack with it, let it through, and then just to hold on to Hypothesisal. We're doing 1 less damage to our opponent to have the flexibility of being able to cast the Sizzle if something crazy happens. But we will absolutely adapt the Aeromunculus during their end step if we don't need to cast Hypothesisal. So we are now at 16, they're at 12, they have a 4-3 and a 2-1 on the board. 5 untapped mana in our end step here, they didn't cast anything in their own turn. See if they have some instants to play around with. Get the point, certainly an instant to play around with. That will destroy the Scuttlegator, let the Rakdos Firewheeler actually get in there here. They also scry 1 when they cast this. So that is the kind of black removal they could have. That'll just kill our 6/6s and 7/7s and 9/9s if we adapt our Scuttlegators. So they even scry to the top, meaning whatever they've got there is going to be something good. They are attacking for 6 this turn, so I think I probably should Hypothesisal to kill the Firewheeler here. It will also give us that card draw, hopefully set us up with another big creature to play next turn. Alright, let's see what we draw into here. They have declared the attack with a 4-3 and a 2-1 flyer. Crush Descent to counter it. I guess we should have done it in our turn. I was not playing around a counter spell from this kind of like Rakdos aggro looking thing. Was not expecting the counter spell there. It's going to cost us. That might cost us the game. So if I attack it now, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is what I am taking. I can put a 2-2 on the board to trade with their 2-2. Yeah, I'm not attacking. We'll play the Boar now then, since we can't discard it to a Hypothesisal anymore. That was a massive Crush Descent. They're eyeing our Aeromunculus at the end of our turn, so I feel like they probably have some kind of 2-mana instant for 3 damage. Ooh, another Firewheeler in hand. Double Firewheeler out of the 1 Ravnica Allegiance pack. Quite a powerful Rakdos lineup from our opponent here. Kill one of our creatures and deal 2 damage to our face. Well, 2 damage to a creature, 2 damage to our face, but that is often enough to chip something off the board there, so the Firewheeler's really coming in hot this game. So we take 6 damage if I block the Shriek Diver. We'll go to 2 life if that's the case, but I do get to keep the Aeromunculus that way. I think that's where I'm at here. Then I can adapt it and trade it with the Firewheeler next turn. If they have anything to put any extra chip damage on us, this game is wildly over regardless. I think this is the better play, not knowing what they have, so that our Aeromunculus can deal with 2 creatures over time if we manage to draw a bunch more creatures, but they still have more creatures to play here, so looking pretty over. Yep, just a land off the top, so that Crush Descent being the card of the game there. Should have gone for the Hypothesisal main phase in hindsight. I was more worried about a haste creature than I was about a counterspell, just defaulting to having seen mostly Rakdos cards so far, not too many blue cards. Was not considering counterspells highly enough there. And it may have cost us the game. We were in a bad position either way. Our opponent's deck was quite excellent there. But we certainly died a lot faster getting our hypothesis countered. Alright, so round 4, it is 2 and 1 here. And a great curve, 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops, whatever we want. No green mana though, which is something we don't want. So I'm going to mulligan that actually. And here we go, this is much better. So I should probably take another look at the mana base. That is something that Arena has affected me with negatively lately. I have become a pretty lazy mana base builder. I just let Arena do it. I'm like, whatever, it'll be close enough to a decent mana base that I'll accept whatever basics Arena gives me. But in hindsight, with this kind of deck, I should almost definitely take a second look at our mana base and make sure we have enough green in here, because green is by far our most important color with District Guide and Generous Stray for draw, Cura as well in green. Alright, so I think they start with Erratic Visionary with their blue-red deck that can draw a card and discard a card if they pay some mana into it. We could slam down Kiora and go for the turn 4 Ward Scale Crocodile. Be pretty cool. Should be at 6 loyalty, so she's unlikely to die. Yeah, I'll go for it. If we didn't just draw this Crocodile, it was a pretty easy like Aramunculus here, I think. District Guide's an option 2. That sets up a Hypothesis, but we can wait till turn 4 for that. Because we don't need the land for the Hypothesis till turn 5, obviously. If we weren't playing Cura. Just shaking up my fruit punch mix in my water bottle there. If you ever wonder what these sounds are in the middle of the video. Relentless Advance, just make a 3/3 there. So they're probably a deck that has a lot of cards that benefit off of casting non-creature spells if they're playing cards like Relentless Advance, because it's just a 4-mana 3/3 very filler creature if you don't care about having non-creature spells. But if you do care about having non-creature spells, that's where the value of that card really comes in. So here's the Ward Scale Crocodile, 5/3 hexproof, draw a card, and we're fine trading our 5/3 down into a 3/3. Because our 5/3 drew us a card, their 3/3 did not. That's kind of the mentality behind actively taking trades down when you have a Cura on board, like I was doing a couple games ago. It is still a decent trade for us because we've gotten a card out of these as we cast them. And it is pretty important to keep Cura on the board to potentially be drawing more off of her in the future. Plus the extra mana matters here as well. We have a lot of 5-mana stuff going on and no 5th land. Ooh, here we can just kill the Visionary and Cura can stay alive with 2 loyalty unless they spend a burn spell on her. And this way we kill the Visionary without losing a creature as well. I'm actually very pumped for that. They almost definitely have a burn spell to go ahead and finish Cura. Ooh, that was the worst spell it could have been for us. Burn Bright. That is a card that I was not expecting at all. Back in Ravnica Allegiance, this was borderline unplayable, so it was the kind of card I pretty much never played against because I just never expected to see it. But here in the Mixer Drafts, here it is in this blue-red deck. And does very much come in clutch there. So we could play District Guide and Cron Strangler because I can grab an untapped land. And I'm going to need that 5th mana. I would have to grab a forest to do that. And if I do that, I won't have the double blue for Watcher. But I will have the mana for Hypothesis, all of that other stuff. I have a 3/3 on the board now. Ceratox are only creature big enough to trade into that if I need to trade immediately. I don't think I do. I'm going to go District Guide Cron Strangler here. Seems fine to me. We could just use the Hypothesis on the 3/3 if need be. Preferably not. Preferably we can hold that removal for something else. So Burn Bright, I think the only decks that I've seen run Burn Bright back in Ravnica Allegiance drafts were the Goblin Gathering decks, but you can't really do the Goblin Gathering deck here in the Ravnica Mixer. Goblin Gathering was a 3-mana sorcery to spit 2 1/1 goblins out, but you get another 1/1 goblin for each other Goblin Gathering you've cast. So if you manage to draft like 8 copies of Goblin Gathering, then you just go ham with the Burn Bright, but that's not really possible with one pack of Allegiance. So Burn Bright was a card I'd almost just erased from my memory. Skewer the Critics, blow up that Crunch Wrangler. Alright, we do have 6 mana now with this Forest. Still not super hyped about Hypothesizal. Set up an Aramunculus, and then when we adapt it, it's a 3/4, which is big enough to block their 3/3 and not die. But then we're still not blocking it this turn. That's fine, we're at 17. I'm cool with Aramunculus this turn. Here comes the 3/3 down to 14 now. Just relentlessly advancing into our face. So Guildgate, not bad. We have the mana to buff Aramunculus to block that 3/3, but we can also just try to outrace them now. 6 mana here. If I adapt Aramunculus, I'm not casting anything else here. But I could also hold up the mana to adapt Aramunculus, and if that isn't going to be the plan, I can Hypothesizal instead. That's got me a little excited. I'm going to go for that. Our opponent might be stuck off a 3rd color here. They've got a lot of stuff going on in their hand. Sonic Assault. Tap creature, deal 2 to its controller. And they can jumpstart it, recast it from the graveyard. Alright, well, that is going to stop the Aramunculus plan. Oh, I was considering Hypothesizaling there during the end step, but in not responding to Sonic Assault, it just immediately passed the turn, so I guess I don't get to play around a counterspell this game. Yeah, I'm going to run it out here. I was going to do this during our end step after Sonic Assault resolved, but I guess I didn't have an opportunity. I would prefer not to get got by 2 counterspells in a row. Okay, so we don't get got here. We do have the island for the Watcher now, so Ceratok seems like a fine discard when we have a big old Scuttlegator for a ground creature. Alright, so we do kill the 3/3 there. Still have 4 cards in their hand to play around with, and 5 mana up. Arrester's Admonition is going to slow us down, throw the Aramunculus back into our hand, and they draw a card. 6, 7, 8. We have 8 mana, enough to adapt the Scuttlegator next turn. So we'd go Izzet, lock it into Scuttlegator, and then try to get that massive attack in next turn. Got multiple spells to cast in the coming turns. We've got plenty to do with all of our mana, so we don't need to set up our draws with the Surveil from Watcher in the Mist. So I like just going for that Scuttlegator next turn. We're attacking with a 9/9 if we adapt it. Should be very threatening to our opponent. So our opponent, again, still having a lot of cards in hand. 5 cards in hand here with 5 mana up, but they only have 2 colors, so They could be stuck on a third color, or they could just have a bunch of just one-off pieces of interaction that they're using one by one here, like the Admonition, to slow us down. And Eternal Skylord it is here, 5 mana for a 3/3 and a 2/2 flying zombie. So the flyer is scary, but we have 2 flyers and a reach creature in hand now, so we should be fine. We could adapt Scuttlegator if we're okay with taking 2 damage next turn, and actually potentially even more, because we're not going to block the 3/3 either. We have 9 mana. I kind of like going Watcher in the Mist and Turret Ogre here this turn, playing it defensively, making sure we have all the blockers we need for all of their stuff. Before we start tapping out every turn. So now we have a 3/4 flyer and a 4/3 reach. Even if they recast the Sonic Assault from the graveyard, we'll have a blocker for their flyer. "12 life to 12 life. We have the better board state, but our opponent has the better number of cards in hand. We do have an Is It Locket on the board to kind of make up for that gap later in the game. Sacrifice that to draw 2 cards. We have a Generous Stray coming up on top of our deck. That's also helpful. But we'll see here. So a Code of Constraint from our opponent taps down our Scuttlegator and draws them a card. So Scuttlegator will not be attacking next turn, nor will it be blocking this turn. And another flying creature here, the Aven Eternal, that also puts a counter on their zombie army. So the zombie army now a 3/3 flyer, the Aven Eternal a 2/2 flyer. Alright, so Aeromunculus, we can make it a 3/4 if I don't play the Generous Stray, or I could just keep it as a 2/3 if I do. With a 4/3 reach and 3/4 flyer, I think I have got the flexibility to just play the Stray and the Aeromunculus here. Ceratok is a spicy draw, because that gives our whole field trample the turn we play it. So if we cast that the turn after we start going in with the Scuttlegator, that could be very exciting. So I guess our opponent is just on blue-red. They've just had a lot of cantrips, a lot of cards that draw a card when they play them. Code of Constraint, Arrester's Admonition. Sonic Assault's kind of still a card in hand because it has Jumpstart. Just some stuff like that. Some good deals. Alright, and they pass turn here. So now, I mean, we've got the board state. I think this is when we just start going in with the Scuttlegator. See if they Sonic Assault it here just to stop the damage for a turn. Put us down to 10. We do have to adapt pre-combat because it's Defender until we adapt it. Another part that makes the Scuttlegator definitely weaker. If it was just a 7/6 this game, we would be in, I think, a much better position because we'd actually get an attack or 2 off by now. But we were just still looking for more filler big dorks. And it certainly fills that role. So if Flames of the Raise Boar was discarded, that would deal 4 to a creature we control. And would have dealt 2 to the rest of our board if they had a creature with power 4 or greater on their board. So it could be like a board wipe that way. Luckily they had to just discard that to get the Sonic Assault off here. They had a Fairy Duelist to play as well, so now they have 3 flyers out. We do have 3 creatures that can block flyers. 4/3 reach, 3/4 flyer, 2/3 flyer. But it is still kind of scary. If they attack with this 4/4 flyer here, there's no way I'm letting it in, so I'll trade my 4/3 reach for it. And they choose not to attack with that here. I do like the Thundering Ceratok. Will we have 4 mana after that? Ooh, we will. So we'll have enough mana to cast Ceratok, attack with Scuttlegator, and then still crack the Locket or adapt the Homunculus. the Homunculus. A lot of options of what to do here in the future. But now we get to attack with a trampling Scuttlegator this turn and still leave quite a bit to block with, so we still have enough to stack up a double or triple block on their 5/6 Cura's Dam Breaker they just cast. So Scuttlegator's coming in. They're blocking with Dam Breaker. They're just going to soak up some damage here. All right, so we're just dealing 3 to them here. But that will be out of the way now. Cosmotronic Wave. 1 damage to all of our creatures. And we can't block this turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage exactly on board. That'll do it. Cosmotronic Wave, definitely a good card in a board stall like this. Could draw 2 off of Locket, but then we won't have any more mana up. We can adapt Homunculus, but it still can't block. Yeah, that is a rough way to end that one. That just gets us here. Cosmotronic Wave. Two and 2 now for the Team Monsters deck. Heading into round 5. I think this deck is pretty spicy. If we played some different blocks playing around Burn Bright and stuff like that in the past, I think we could have a better record here. So I am tanking the deck a little bit. I think this deck, maybe not a 7-win deck, but this should be like a 5 or a 6 on average. So hopefully we can come back from this one, not go 2 and 3. This is a fun deck, and I think it's a pretty powerful deck, so it deserves more wins than I am capable of giving it here in the gameplay. But let's not speak entirely pessimistically here. We've got an excellent hand here to try to come back this game. Start rallying into a win streak, shall we? I guess the one issue with this hand, we do need to draw 1 land, so it was a mildly risky keep. But if we hit any land, then this hand's awesome, because Cura and New Horizons and Izzet Locket get us the rest of the way to casting anything. Alright, so another aggressive blue-red deck. Turn 2 Goblin Crater Maker, turn 3 Fire Urchin. We do hit the land that we need. We can play Cura to play Ceratok next turn. But she will be in some danger here. We could also play New Horizons, make our boar a 3/3, and have the 5 mana next turn. They might sack the Crater Maker to kill the boar, but then they only have a Fire Urchin out, which is fine. We can spend next turn doing another turn of setup. I'm actually okay with that. Just doing another turn of setup before we go into the Ceratok. Now our plan next turn is to cast Izzet Locket and Crunch Wrangler, so then we'll have a Wrangler out before we get the Ceratok going. Alright, nice. So we get to pop the Crater Maker by doing this. And they just have the 1/3 on board to worry about. And a 2/3 flyer on turn 4. Alright, so now we can actually go Cura and Izzet Locket and Wrangler. Because Cura can untap the New Horizons land. That's the other thing that's really exciting about that. I guess not quite. We're 1 mana off from doing Locket and Wrangler after this. Yeah, because we do that. If we hit a land this turn, we'd be able to have done that. Without the land, we can't quite. So we have 4 mana without Cura. Just Locket Boar here. Locket Boar here. I do want to get a blocker out. I don't want to just like send Cura out to the wolves here. Just leave her out to dry. Alright, well, if they play any instant or sorcery, board dies when we block like this. I guess with 3 toughness, Fire Urchin does threaten these kind of attacks really easily. So yeah, if they just like cast a draw spell or something, board dies, so we'll not block. I guess it would have been a free block there because they just immediately skipped right past it. Probably didn't have the instant there. But it is only 1 more damage. Bioessence Hydra? Alright, well now we just have to hope for the best with Kiora. Get her out this turn, because then Bioessence Hydra is just a 10-10 trample. Probably have a counterspell here with their blue if they're not casting anything. So, cast Crunch Wrangler, then cast Kiora. If it's Crush Descent, though, if it's Crush Descent, we want to cast Kiora first, and if it's No Way Out, we want to cast Crunch Wrangler first, or No Escape. Because No Escapes counter a creature or planeswalker. We've seen more Crush Descents than No Escapes, but I feel like No Escapes are more popular. They're both a blue common from War of the Sparks, so they're literally just as likely to be either one. Alright, it's literally just as likely to be either, so let's just play Crunch Wrangler and just see what happens. Alright, I guess Kiora does get to resolve here. Cool.
Not to brag, but my friend's kind of a big deal.
Now, hopefully they don't hit Kiora too much, so our Bioessence Hydra still comes out as something pretty dang massive here. I mean, regardless, we'll be drawing a card off of it as long as Kiora is still on the board. It'll be a big trampler. I guess if they hit Kiora a whole ton, we could just cast Seratok instead. Alright, so Shimmer of Possibility. Look at the top 4 cards of their library, put 1 into their hand and the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. Fire Urchin also gets +1/+0. If they cast another spell, Thunder Drake gets a permanent +1/+1 counter, but we're pretty close to Inescapable Blaze mana to go ahead and shoot that for 6 damage. That'll be the plan to deal with that. If we can deal with their flyers, we can take over the game on the ground with bigger creatures. Although, looks like a mirror match here. They do have a green source, so blue, red, green from our opponent as well. This Bioessence Hydra is so cool. The artwork really reminds me of like the first boss fight from the first God of War game where you're fighting a Hydra on a ship. It's like a spirit Hydra kind of thing, breaking through the ship and stuff. Kind of weird. Ooh, Direct Current. They can just start shredding our small creatures, and that buffs Fire Urchin, so they could attack Kiora down to 1 loyalty, but we still draw the card off Kiora. But that is hitting Kiora for enough that I would just slam down Seratok, but they're going to choose to hit me here. Alright, we're going to slam down Bioessence Hydra then. Down to 10 life, but we get to play a nice little 11/11. I mean, I'm at 10 life. I have to be a little worried about Thunder Drake just killing me, but playing an 11/11 is so cool here. We can Inescapable Blaze the Drake and only worry about the Fire Urchin instead if I don't play any creatures this turn. That honestly might be the better play. Because we're at 10 life. I guess we're not worried about anything on the ground if we have Bioessence Hydra out. So we're just taking 3 in the sky plus 2 from Direct Current. We go to 5 life, probably. You know what? When in Ravnica, just playing 11/11 Bioessence Hydra. Just do our thing.
To make a splash.
And now Inescapable Blaze doubles as a finisher to just kill our opponent. If they let the 11 through, they'll be at 6, and Inescapable Blaze will do the final 6. That would be pretty insane if that happens. So their blue removal could deal with the Hydra. They could bounce it back to our hand, or they could keep it tapped, but their red removal shouldn't be able to kill it here. Alright, so they kill our 3/2. That buffs the Urchin. They can now cast Direct Current as well to deal 2 to our face, put us to 8 life, buff the Urchin, get a counter on the Drake, hit us for a bunch here. So they don't attack with Urchin, though, because we have an 11/11. So we'll just attack with that. So we can attack with Hydra. If it connects, we kill them. If it doesn't connect, we have to Inescapable Blaze the Drake and hope that they don't have 3 instants or sorceries in hand or something that damages our face. So attack with Hydra. See what happens. Alright. It does not connect. So, I mean, we still trample over for a bunch, but we can't blaze their face. Now we have to blaze the Drake. But that's actually fine, because I just realized it's like either they chump block with the Urchin and we don't have to worry about dying to that, or they don't chump block with Urchin and we just kill them with Blaze. So yeah, it's a super safe attack either way.
Nature flows with vigor.
Cool. So Blaze there. They're down to 2 cards in hand with a Beacon Bolt in the grave, but Beacon Bolt cannot kill an 11/11. Alright, a land, just a Terramander in play. Hydra's more than big enough to bash through that. And they scoop them up. 11/11 Bioessence Hydra. Actually, the correct play there. Or at least it worked out for us in the end. So that was pretty cool. We got to do the Cure into Bioessence Hydra thing that I was so excited about when we drafted it. That was pretty insane. We just got 2 Cures in a row into Bioessence Hydra in the 3rd pack. Probably one of the coolest aspects of this deck. Alright, so we're at least an average record now, 3-2, so 3-3 being the worst we can do. See how things go for us in round 6. Skyline Scout, a 2/1. They can give flying for a couple mana whenever it attacks. So Boros aggro with Rakdos as well. So Mardu, red, white, and black. Very aggro. This is the kind of matchup I am terrified of. We are going to slam down Kiora. The least Kiora does here is soaks up a bunch of damage. So essentially gains us a bunch of life, gives us some time against this kind of deck. Oh lord. Skyline Scout, Wojek Bodyguard into Sorin. Phenomenal aggressive start from our opponent. By all considerations here. Taking 6, going down to 11, and all of their creatures have lifelink because of Sorin, Bioessence Hydra. Well, at least there's that. We do get to just slam down the turn 4 Bioessence Hydra and show off our fun combo, even if we just die, which is possible. They're playing black, so they can absolutely kill this thing. This is such an insane format. Just bombastic start from our opponent, incredible aggressive stuff, and we followed up with a 10/10 on turn 4. They do follow it up with the removal of the Prison Realm, so we're pretty much just dead here. We take 7 this turn. 6 from the creatures, 1 from Sorin's plus ability. Yeah, I don't think there's any way we can block all the damage the turn after this. But, yeah, we had one of the strongest plays in our whole deck, but still just get out-aggroed by a phenomenal red, white, black aggressive start with a Sorin to back it up. So, super powerhouse format here for sure. So, yep, no, we just die. All of these creatures do at least 3 damage. Banneret buffs itself for 2, so even if we play 2 creatures by playing Boar and Ogre with Kiora, we block 2 things, take 3 there, take 1 from Sorin. So that is just game. I suppose if we draw something insane with Turret Ogre, we might come back, but I don't think that we have anything for 2 or less that would save us here.
Let's get moving.
And that is not going to be enough. Down to 3, attacking with a bunch of creatures with at least 3 power. Or they just want to show off the Skewer the Critics still in hand. Phenomenal aggro deck from our final opponent. That is going to kick us out of the event with a 3-3 average run this time around. Again, I think I did make some misplays, primarily in not playing around counterspells as much as I did, and perhaps could have played more aggressively in that round where our opponent ended up with a Cosmotronic wave. Maybe if we had put more pressure on earlier, we might have been able to win that one as well. So, some losses from user error for sure. This deck could have easily gone 4, 5, 6 wins, I would say. Not so sure about a 7-win run for this one, but overall, quite a solid deck. Great mana base, some really fun bombs, and pretty consistent deck overall. So that was the Teamer Monsters deck for the second Ravnica Mixer Draft. Certainly a fun time overall, well worth it. So that is going to end today's video, but as always, if you are enjoying these draft videos and you want to see more, stick around on the channel. You can like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos in your notification feeds, and until next time, I'd like to thank you all again very much for watching. I'll be back again very soon with more Magic Arena.